Chapter number 2. Nehemiah chapter 2. I like this book. Hope you like this book. Somebody said Adrian Rogers preaching through this book on the radio. So, amen. That's good. You can compare. See who you like better. Somebody pastored 38,000, or somebody has what we have. Gigantic. Wasn't that what they were? 27,000 on the facility, and then extension ministry 38,000. That's a big church. That's a big church. We got that many. We run 38,000. We don't catch many of them, but we run them. That race coming up July 2nd, we're gonna run about 100,000 that weekend. Run them as hard as we can. All right, Nehemiah 2, let's read verses 12 through 20. Just no particular sermon tonight, just some thoughts on these verses. Now I rose in the night, verse 11, so I came to Jerusalem, was there 3 days. So he's made the long journey from Persia to Jerusalem. And I rose in the night, I and some few men with me. Neither told I any man what my God had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem. Neither was there any beast with me, save the beast that I rode upon. So this group of men go out in the night. There's one animal. Nehemiah is sitting on that when the other men are walking. They're traveling with him, but he's not discussed his purposes or his intents with these men. And I went out by night by the gate of the valley, even before the dragon well. I think I'd stay clear of that. And to the dung port. Dragons and dung usually closely connected. And viewed the walls of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and the gates thereof were consumed with fire. That's the wages of sin. They're evident. If you want to see how that happened, read Lamentations and the end of 2 Kings, the end of 2 Chronicles. Then I went on to the gate of the fountain and to the king's pool, but there was no place for the beast that was under me to pass. The ground so full of rubble and debris that he couldn't ride anymore, had to leave either the horse or the donkey, whatever he's riding on, had to leave it there. Then went I up in the night by the brook and viewed the wall and turned back and entered by the gate of the valley and so returned. And the rulers knew not whither I went or what I did. Neither had I as yet told it to the Jews, nor to the priests, nor to the nobles, nor to the rulers, nor to the rest that did the work. Then said I unto them, Ye see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lieth waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. Come and let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we be no more a reproach. Then I told them of the hand of my God, which was good upon me, as also the king's words that he had spoken unto me. And they said, Let us rise up and build. So they strengthened their hands for this good work. But when Sanballat the Horonite, and Tobiah the servant, the Ammonite, and Geshem the Arabian heard it, they laughed us to scorn and despised us and said, What is this thing that ye do? Will ye rebel against the king? They always try that. They tried it with Jesus. They tried it with Paul. You're going against the authority. You're going against the people that are in charge. You're some kind of a troublemaker, rabble-rouser. Rebel is the word to use here. Then answered I them and said to them, The God of heaven, he will prosper us. Therefore we his servants will arise and build, but ye have no portion, nor right, nor memorial in Jerusalem. Okay, so some practical things. First of all, in verse number 12, Nehemiah has it in his heart to rebuild the walls. But he has not seen the broken down walls. He knows from what he's heard that 70 years earlier, the walls have been broken down, but he's been in captivity for 7 decades. So in his heart, in the palace back there with Artaxerxes the king, he thinks in his heart, I'm going to go back and rebuild those walls. But it's one thing to say I'm going to rebuild the walls. It's another thing to see these piles of rubble and ruin and the charred remains of burned gates and so forth. And so while he had in his heart to rebuild that wall, he hadn't told anybody, I'm going to rebuild those walls. While he had a desire to hang those gates again, he hadn't said to anybody, I'm going to Jerusalem, I'm going to hang those gates. And so what he's going to do, before he talked to anybody, he's going to go out in the night. He doesn't want to attract a crowd. He doesn't want to attract any attention. He's going to go out and take a look at those ruins and travel around that city and just gauge and get an idea of what it is that lies before him. And then and only then will he call the people together and say, we're going to build that wall. Then and only then will he call the people together and say, we're going to hang those gates. Now, Jesus taught something similar to this. He said, before you start building a tower, sit down first. Now, rise up and build, that's great. But he said, sit down first and count the cost and see if you got enough to finish that job, because it's a bad thing to start something and not see it through to the end. He said, before you go to war, you better count their soldiers and your soldiers and add up their weapons and your weapons. And if you're going to go out there and get whipped, you better just stay home. You need to consider beforehand if you can finish what you start. Now, here's a great truth, brother, great truth, sister. I hope every one of you accomplishes great things for God. I really do. But before you set out and rent a building to start a church and put your name on as pastor, before you plan on preaching 3 decent, average, mediocre, passable sermons a week, maybe you might want to see if you could pass a test or 2 in Bible school. Before you plan on building some great work for God over the next 4 or 5 decades, maybe you might want to try just getting to work on time 4 days out of 4 this coming week. There's something to be said for making sure you know what you're getting into before you get into it. You know, the Bible says, whoso findeth a wife findeth good thing. The Bible says, man marries a virgin, he's not sin. Man takes a wife, it's no sin. Praise the Lord. But before you do that, you need to sit down and figure out what's involved in being married. And it's more than smooching. Amen. Well, she's pretty. Boy, I want to marry her. Well, you want to pay her bills? You want to provide for her? You want to put a roof over her head? You want to minister to her in sickness and in health? Well, I hadn't thought about all that. Well, you know what the Lord said? You ought to think about it. You ought to think about it. Before you declare what you're going to do for God, or what you're going to do as an individual, or what you're going to do for your career, or what you're going to do now that you graduated, you know what you ought to do? You ought to just go out at night and get on your horse and ride around and take a look at the mess this world's in, and the mess that churches are in, and the mess that families are in, and maybe the mess you're in. And before you announce your great plans, maybe you might want to take a good look at what's in front of you and decide whether or not you can do it. Now, nobody see the end from the beginning. I understand that. We got to walk by faith, not by sight. I understand that. But just a few practical things. If you can't get along with people, why are you going to start a church? If you can only fellowship with people, see everything your way, why are you going to start a church? If you're soft and cushy and comfortable and have to have everything your way, why are you going to go to a foreign mission field? If you can't pay your bills, why are you going to get married and have a couple of kids? Look, we walk by faith, not by sight, and yet God gave us a whole book telling us which way to look and what to see when we look that way and how to respond to it. And so Nehemiah is not jumping out of the 15th story window by faith and trusting God to catch him. He's looking to see if there's a ladder or an elevator or a set of stairs that maybe he could walk down instead of busting his neck. And I hope the Lord will put some of you young men in the ministry. But if you don't like to study, I don't want to go to your church. Last thing this country needs is another guy who hadn't prepared anything getting up and start talking and hoping the Holy Ghost will put a sermon in his mouth. Open thy mouth wide and the Lord will fill it. Yeah, he might fill it with junk. Amen. You know, let me tell you how this church got started. We've been through some tough stuff, and we didn't want to go through it again. And we were traveling around going to different churches, and people kept saying, you need to start a church, you need to start a church, you start a church, we'll go, we'll come, all that. Well, about 1 out of 10 of those people came. But anyway, so we went down one night, hear this man preach, And he got up and he said, well, I hadn't really studied this, but I believe the Lord's going to give me something. And he proceeded to prove that not only had he not studied it, but that God didn't give him anything. And all the way home, it was about an hour and a half from here, all the way home, I just telling my wife, I said, I can't believe these people have to go to church and listen to that junk. I can't believe people go to church, they don't get anything. The man hadn't studied the Bible. What's he do? What's he do? I mean, his job is study the Bible. What's he do all day? And so anyway, I was all just bent out of shape. And man, that night, all night long, I'm trying to sleep. And God said, well, how about you? Smarty pants. You complain about how everybody's not doing it right. You ain't doing anything. At least that guy's trying. You're not even trying. You're just running. You're just hiding. So anyway, I've got to study because we started this church because I was complaining about everybody else not studying. Be ashamed just turn into one more person that doesn't study. So here's what we're saying. I hope some of you become missionaries. I do. But if you're not doing missionary work here now, you don't want to do missionary work. Hope some of you become ministers and preachers. But if there's a sign-up sheet to preach, your name never shows up on it because it's not a congregation or there's not an offering to it. You don't want to be a preacher. You want a position. And if you want to have a family, well, how you get along with your friends, and you can walk away from them, you can leave them, you go home from them, you can't get along with them. How you going to get along with somebody you're sharing a bedroom and sharing a bathroom and sharing a kitchen? Just telling you, you ought to just, before you start something, before you tell everybody about your big plans, you ought to just get on a horse and go out and take a ride. Take a look and see how big it is. Might be a bigger job than you thought. Might be more to it than you planned. Might be a thing might require a lot more effort than you want to put into it. Amen. Count the cost. Amen. Count the cost. All right, so Nehemiah does that. And it doesn't discourage him, and it doesn't dissuade him. And he sees everything needs to be done. And the Bible says in verse 17, he gets all these people together. Then said I unto them, ye see the distress that we are in. And here's the next thing I want to talk about this evening. They saw what he saw. They'd been looking at what he went out and looked at. They had been aware for years of what Nehemiah became aware of that night. But seeing the need doesn't often work out or equate to doing something about it. Who can't sit around and see the terrible spiritual condition of America? But who's doing anything about it? Every church in America get together this Sunday morning and say the day is dark. The times are bad. The condition of the nation spiritually is terrible. And then all they do is have dances and spaghetti suppers and fairs and fundraisers and all that stuff. They're not trying to win anybody to Jesus Christ, get anybody right with God. So the fact that you can talk about how bad the other kids are in your school, everybody sees that. The fact that you can talk about how terrible the morals and the conduct of the people you work with are, everybody sees that. But what are you going to do about it? Nehemiah saw it and he said, you see this? Do you see this? Well, they couldn't deny they saw it. They'd been looking at it every single day. Every time the sun came up, they saw it. But when Nehemiah said, do you see this? He meant, are you ready to do something about it? And I tell you, that ought to be our response to preaching and teaching, whether it's a Sunday school hour or your personal Bible reading, or coming to church and hearing the preacher preach. Listen, the preacher can say, look at where people are going without Christ. You say, oh yeah, I see that. Look at what's happening to people who don't know the Bible. Yeah, I can see that. Look at what's happening to our churches because we're not dedicated. Oh yeah, I see that. But when Nehemiah said, do you see it? What he meant is, have you beheld in such a way as to have your heart moved to do something about it? He said, then said I unto them, ye see the distress that we are in. But they hadn't seen it the way he saw it. Because when he saw it, he said, we got to do something about this. And my desire for you, my desire for me, is that we don't just see the condition of the world. We don't just see the condition of the lost. We don't just see the condition of our churches, but we see it and are compelled to act, to try in some way to fix the thing. I maybe can't repair America, but we could repair one home. We could repair one family. We could repair one community. God helping us. And so he said, you see the distress we are in. How Jerusalem lieth waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. And then he says to them, the end of the verse, that we be no more a reproach. Now to reproach is to blame or to charge with a fault. And this is interesting. Because those walls are lying in ruins. And Nehemiah didn't say it's Nebuchadnezzar's fault. Nebuchadnezzar's dead and in the grave. Nehemiah didn't say it's Belshazzar's fault. Belshazzar saw the handwriting on the wall. He's gone. Nehemiah didn't say it's Cyrus's fault. It's the devil's fault. It's the fault of the United Nations. It's the one world order. It's the new world government. It's the Illuminati. You know what Nehemiah said? It's your fault. It's my fault. It's our fault. We're a reproach. We are to blame for the condition of these walls. Now wait a minute. Let's go all the way back. Nebuchadnezzar could have never crossed that desert if God hadn't sent him to take out Jerusalem. Nebuchadnezzar could have never torn one stone off one piece of that wall had God not empowered him to do so because of the condition of the people of Judah. You telling me God would let a heathen king and his reprobate soldiers put a torch to Solomon's temple? Are you kidding me? You know what the Lord said right here through Nehemiah? He said, fellows, come on, we got to own up to this. This is our fault. It's our fault it happened in the first place, and it's our fault it's still like this. Isn't that right? Now, no, wait. You say, man, things are so bad, times are so hard, the ground's the soil's so hard, you throw the seed, and there's hardly any good ground. I understand all that. I do. Listen, I understand every bit of that. But I'm telling you, there was a day and time when out of the entire population of the earth, there are only 120 believers. And they started a church, and they started a missionary movement, and they had satellite churches and branch churches, and they won people by the thousands. You say, well, there used to be so many more good preachers. Well, how about you go back to the book of Acts? There weren't any good preachers. There weren't any radio programs. There weren't any CDs to listen to. There weren't any websites with Bible preach. There weren't any churches to go to. Those people went from city to city and place to place, and when they got there, there were no Christians. No New Testament influence at all. Don't tell me it's worse now than it's ever been. It's not. Don't tell me it's harder now than it's ever been. It's not. And if there's no Christian witness where you work, don't blame the devil. If there's no Christian testimony in the town you live in, don't blame the world. You know what Nehemiah said? Well, we got Persians over there, we got Arabs over there, we got barbarians over here, we got heathens over here, we got Baal worshipers over here, we got Molech worshipers over here. And hey guys, why is that wall lying there in a pile of ruins being a reproach to us? You know the problem, folks, from where we sit, is not Congress. It's not the Senate. It's not the President. It's not the Supreme Court. You know what the problem is? We sit around looking at the ruin and we're not doing anything to fix it. Now wait. I have no access to Obama. I have no access to Ryan. I have no access to Ginsburg. I have no access to those people. I have access to my next door neighbor. I have access to my classmate. I have access to my coworker. I have access to people I rub shoulders with every day. You can do something right there. Right there. Nehemiah didn't say, let's go fix Persia. He didn't say, let's go fix Babylon. He didn't say, let's go fix Alexandria, Egypt. He said, let's pick up some of these stones, start building this wall again. We're a reproach. Their lack of effort to rebuild the city told onlookers they did not really care. Isn't that what it says? Don't really care. There are people, if you're one of them, I'm not, this is not a word of criticism. I'm not criticizing. But people landscape, and then they water what they landscaped, so it grows, and then they have to mow what they watered, and then they water it so it'll grow again, and then they spray it, and then they fertilize it, and you know why? Because they care about, when people drive by, they care about what people see when they look at their yard. That's why. And you drive by, and here's grass all grown up, and weeds taken over, and junk all over the yard. You know what the person's saying to everybody driving by? I don't care. Say what you want. I don't care. You don't like my yard? I don't care. You think it's ugly? I don't care. Now, you know what? When people drive by a church and there's no light, there's no power, there's no witness, there's no testimony, sodomites are marching in the street and they don't lift a finger to say a word about it, perverts roaming the halls of the schools and they're not doing anything trying to win those boys and girls to Jesus Christ, you know what? Everybody riding bicycles, they don't care. They don't care. Hey, they can laugh at us if they want. They can curse us if they want. They can give us a middle finger if they want. Nobody's going to live and die in this town, God helping us. Nobody's going to live and die in this town and say, we don't care. We're going to try and rebuild this thing. We're going to try and do something for God in our town. We're going to try to do something for God in our neighborhoods. I don't want to be one more church having suppers and fellowships and picnics and sitting around at the table sticking barbecue in my mouth talking about how messed up our society is. I want to try and do something to rescue the messed up people in our messed up society. So watch what Nehemiah says. Verse 17, then said I unto them, ye see the distress we are in, how Jerusalem lieth waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. Come, and let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we be no more a reproach. Then I told them of the hand of my God, which was good upon me, as also the king's words that he had spoken unto me. So here's what I'm going to say, and it's just a fact. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with all of us. It's a fact. What every group of people like those who were sitting in Jerusalem, what they need is they need God to send someone into their life to provoke them to do what they know needs to be done, but what they won't do without being provoked. And in the military, it's commanding officer. In the schoolhouse, it's the teacher. In the church, it's the preacher. But the preacher's job is to say, see it? Oh yeah, we see it. Look how bad it is. Oh yeah, it's bad. Okay, let's go. Come on, come on, come on, let's go. Now those people were capable, they're going to prove that. Those people were able, they're going to prove that. Those people could get the job done, they're going to prove that. But they just sat indifferently looking at it until somebody said, come on, come on, come on, come on. And people don't want to come on, they leave and go somewhere else. That's okay, sorry they do, don't want them to, wish they didn't. But I'm just telling you right now, some of you would never have given a gospel tract to anyone in your life, but you do now. Some of you would never have taken a public stand for Jesus Christ in your life, but you do now. Some of you would never have gone into a room in a nursing home and helped somebody get their clothes together and wheel them out and sing to them and tell them about Jesus, but you do now. Some of you would never have gotten approved to go behind prison bars and sit with the unsavory characters and pour out your heart and love to them, tell them about, but you do now. And listen, Man doesn't get the glory. Man's not looking for the glory. But all of us would admit it has been beneficial to us in our lives to have God send somebody our way to say, come on, come on, come on, we can do this thing. And if they won't, nobody in Daytona will do it, we'll go to Daytona. If nobody in Orlando will do it, we'll go to Orlando. If nobody in Tampa will do it, we'll go to Tampa. If nobody in Miami will do it, we'll go to Miami. If nobody in Jacksonville will do it, we'll go to Jacksonville. Come on! Come on! Let's go! I talk to unsaved people in this community, and I'll start talking to them. I try to witness to them. I say, oh, where do you go to church? I say, Bible Baptist. They say, is that the church out there in Glenwood Road? And I say, it is. They say, there's something going on there every single day. We notice that. We drive by, there's something going on there every single day. You know why there's something going on here every single day? Because somebody said, come on. Come on. Monday night's open. Come on. Tuesday night's available. Come on. Wednesday afternoon. Somebody's got to be free Wednesday afternoon. Let's do something. That's not glory to the man. That's how God has always done it. 430 years they sat in Egypt till Moses went in there and said, come on, let's get out of here. 40 years they wandered around in that wilderness till Joshua said, come on, let's cross this river. Isn't that right? 120 years Noah's building an ark. So one day he could say, come on, get in this boat. Come on, let's go, let's get in this boat. Jesus walked by and said to the men in the nets, come on, let's go. Follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. Levi, hey, get up, come on, let's go. Let's do something for God. Isn't that right? Now, you don't believe that. Look at where you were. Your walk with the Lord. And look what you're doing now for Jesus. And then, and I hate to tell you this, but just look at somebody who dropped out. So, and they say, I'm going to keep doing everything I was doing. I'm just not going there. You watch. You watch. It won't be a year. It won't be a year. And all those things they were doing for Jesus, they're not doing anymore. Now, if you ask them, what's the world? Oh, the world's terrible. What's the government like? Oh, government's terrible. What's the neighborhood like? Oh, the neighborhood's terrible. They still see the ruin. How come they're not out there Friday night anymore? How come they're not out there Saturday afternoon anymore? How come they're not out there the nursing home service anymore? Because I'm just telling you, in almost every one of our lives, we need somebody to say, come on! Come on! Come on! We can do this! God's with us! And you're better off for it. You're better off for it. As a Christian, the world's better off for it. Having Christians that have been stirred up to do something for the Lord. And so that's Nehemiah here. And he comes in and the ruin reminded them of God's judgment against their fathers. And maybe they didn't know God had blessed them. So Nehemiah changed that outlook. Look, he says, verse 18, then I told them of the hand of my God, which was good upon me, as also the king's word that he had spoken unto me. And they said, let us rise up and build. Okay, here's something else I want you to see. We laugh about, when I say it, you laugh. When I talk about being positive and optimistic and all, you laugh. Because I slam the bicycle boys, and I slam the watchtower peddlers, and I slam the throat-cutting religion, and I slam these liberal carnal churches. But I'm telling you, listen, if you're honest, you know what you get after sitting here for 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 1 year? You know what gets in your heart? You know what gets in your mind? I can do something for God. We can do something for God. It's not too late. Everything's not so far gone. It doesn't matter how many people out there don't believe. We can, come on, it is worth the effort. We can do something for God. I'm telling you, now maybe I'm just delusional. I don't think so. I believe that God has given me to play a cheerleader's role in your life. We can do this. You can live in victory. You can have a good marriage. You can be a witness for Jesus Christ. You can learn the Bible. We can build a church that'll make a mark on this world even in days like that. Come on, we preach that all the time. All the time. Now, we throw our shots in there. That's what we preach all the time. Now, you know what Nehemiah did? Those people look in those walls, and in their mind, God did that to us. They're looking at those ruined gates, and in their mind, God did this to us. They're looking at the enemies all around about them, and they're saying, God did this to us. And Nehemiah went in there and said, hey guys, God is still on our side. God did those things to disobedient people. We don't have to be a disobedient people. God gave me letters from the king. God gave me money from the king. God gave me timber from the king. God gave me building permits from the king. Come on, guys. God is for us. Let's do something. Some of you packed your bags, loaded up your truck, and moved here to take a job making half the money you were making before. Because somebody told you it's not too late for you and your family to do something for God. And some of you live this. We're no sheep stealers. We're not trying to steal people out of anybody else's church. Church goes NIV. Bible-believing people are going to leave. Church turns to dance music. People want to sing hymns and worship God are going to leave. That's just how it goes. But I'm telling you, some of you sat in church, faithful, for years, within driving distance of this building right here. And it never occurred to you, you could do something for Jesus Christ. It never occurred to you, you could have a part in turning a community in the direction of God. And then maybe it's a radio program. Maybe it's a group of people you talked to on a street corner. Maybe it was a neighbor that invited you to come to church. And you came and you heard somebody say, rise up, build. God's not done. He's not finished. He gave you His Holy Spirit. He gave you His Bible. He gave you gifts. Come on, let's do something for God. You came, so where can you plug me in? Somebody said, I'll work in a school. And somebody said, I'll work in a jail. And somebody said, I'll work in a nursing home. Somebody said, I'll work on a bus route. And you know what you found out? You found out that everything wasn't lost. You found out the devil wasn't the victor. You found out there was still something that could be done for God in the midst of all this ruin. That's what the preacher's supposed to do. That's why you're supposed to go to church. So, I don't need to go to church. I know my Bible. I can learn my Bible just as well as home. I can. You probably can. But nobody in your living room is going to say, come on, come on, come on. You come to church, you're not just going to learn the Bible. You're not just going to sing songs. You're not just going to pray your prayer list. Somebody's going to say, you can do more than you're doing. 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 Come on, let's do it. And we're better off for it. We're better off for it. All right. So he says in verse number 18, he changed their attitude. God's for us. God's with us. And they said, this is great. Verse 17, Nehemiah, then said I unto them, let us build up the wall. Verse 18, they said, let us rise up and build. See what happened? Now it's not a man trying to get some people to go and do something. Now it's some people saying, let's go do it. Let's go do it. When you got an energetic leader full of faith and some people that have shaken off their indifference and decided to go to work, something's about to get done. Praise the Lord. So they strengthened their hands for this good work. Now this is important. This is really important. God could provide the permission. God could provide the deliverance. God could provide the timber. God could provide the money. God could provide the building permits. God could not provide the willing hands. Those willing hands had to come from the people. And the Bible says they strengthened their hands for this good work. Didn't say God strengthened their hands. They strengthened their hands. Didn't say God took their hands and made them start working. It says they said, God, here's my hands right here. I'll do it. I'll do it. Isn't that a blessing? Amen. So they strengthened their hands for this good work. What do you strengthen your hands for? Come on, we just had several Sunday nights. You got to earn a living. You got to pay your bills. You got to provide for family. We know all that. But there's a good work to be done for God. Are you getting stronger so you can do a better job of it? Every couple of years, we get to go out west, see some of God's creation. So beautiful. And my wife and I say something like this. 6 months we're going to be out there hiking at high altitude. We ought to start walking a mile or two every day. Oh, yeah, we should. 4 months we're going to be out there. We ought to start walking a mile or two every day. Oh, yeah, we should. 2 weeks we're going to be out there with. And then we get out there. It's a long mile. It's only been a 10th. It's one thing to come to church and say, I'm going to do something for God one day. Are you doing anything to strengthen yourself? Strengthen your hands for that good work? You exercising in a prayer closet? Are you exercising over your Bible? Are you exercising your friendships and your relationships? Are you exercising your grace? Are you exercising your ability to witness and speak to people? Listen, they didn't walk out there and say, oh God, we love you. Oh God, we trust you. Oh God, rebuild the walls. And then the stones just jumped up and stacked themselves up together. Don't you think the first 2 or 3 weeks, they had some blisters like they'd never seen before? Don't you think they had some sore muscles like they'd never had before? You know why? Because they weren't strong enough when they started, but they stayed with it, and the work itself strengthened them for the work. Now, some of you, maybe you're new Christian, maybe you're new to the church, and you say, I could never do what that man's doing. I could never do what that lady's doing. I could never do what those people are doing. That's what they all said. The people you're saying, I could never do what they're doing, I heard them say, I could never do that. And now they are. You know what they did? They strengthened their hands for the work. I could never knock on doors. Everyone knocking on doors this Sunday afternoon will be someone who said, I could never knock on doors. I could never stand preach in public. I have watched, I won't even name them, I have watched some of our best street preachers, the men you watch to see how to do it. I have watched them walk back and forth for 30 minutes begging God for the courage to quote one verse in public. You know what they did? They strengthened their hands for the work. There's no one's ever walked in for that first nursing home service that wasn't overwhelmed by the smell, the despair. I'm just telling you. And you walk out of that first thing, you say, I can't do this. I can't do this. Sure you can. Strengthen your hands for the work. The first time, this is so long ago, the first time Brother Andy and I went to the jail over in Tomoka, somebody got us in, and we went over there, and they put out this announcement. I don't know what time it was. Say, so 7 p.m., there's going to be a Bible study. And at 7 p.m., they opened the doors, and the first guy that walked in had on a little pair of gym shorts up to here and little socks with little white balls on the back of the socks and a necklace. And he walked in like this and sat down and said, hi, I'm here for Bible study. And Ann and I both looked at each other and said, I can't do this, man. I cannot do this. And you know what? Andy's still ministering to prisoners. Not me, but no, Lord had some other things for me to do. But here, all I'm saying is, if you get a construction job tomorrow, you can't handle it. You get a fast food job tomorrow, your head will spin. There's no way. I can't get I can't handle these orders. 2 fries, 3 fries, 4 fries, 6 fries. After about 2 months, you can do it in your sleep. Strengthen your hands for the work. You want to go out there tomorrow afternoon, stand on the street corner? I could never do that. Not if you don't go. But if you go, it won't take you 2 or 3 times, and you'll be doing it. Well, I don't know about that nursing home stuff. Well, first couple of times, you won't like it. You won't like it. But you watch that old lady that's all her mind is gone. You watch those lips move as she sings, I come to the garden alone. And God do something in your heart. And you say, I want to keep coming here. I want to sit with her. I want to open a songbook for her. You know what they did? They heard a man say, come,